There we go. What's up, good people? I hope you guys are doing well. Hey, how you doing? What's up, April? Let me tell you guys, I hope y'all have had a great day. I had an amazing day. I worked out and I got a chance to have a front row seat at probably one of the most transparent and life-changing kind of conversations ever. And it wasn't even for me. It was like, I'm not sure if you guys know who Pastor Fanika Friend is, but she's an amazing woman of God based here in Atlanta, and she's having the Find Your Voice Challenge. And I've been blessed to be able to kind of help out with some things behind the scenes. And tonight, I messed around and went to see the session live. When I tell you, if I could share this on here, man, I definitely would, because it was probably one of those things that really, it kind of catapulted me into a thought like destined to win. Man, wasn't it amazing? Y'all, I've been driving. I said, I don't even want to go home. I want to sit down somewhere. I need to process my thoughts. What's up, Mike? I need to process my thoughts, because this thing right here has me, the last 2 nights have had me really rethinking my absolute life. And I kind of want to talk about mistakes. So listen, I know we hear about mistakes. Oh man, this is your last live. Oh man, thank you, Mike. We make mistakes every single day. And I've seen, like, myself and other people that I've been in a relationship with, whether it's friendship, with no matter what it is, not be able to bounce back. Hey, Chris, not be able to bounce back from, like, mistakes they quote unquote made. And man, it just took me on a journey. I'm driving through Atlanta, like, really thinking about, man, like, mistakes. It's like the thing that we are most afraid of making. And I'm like, why are we so afraid of making, like, absolute mistakes? Like, we have allowed people to make some of our mistakes permanent and life-altering, and almost like mistakes are going to stop your life. And I was just driving, listening to my music, just riding. And I'm like, okay, you know what? All right, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. Then I got to a couple mistakes that I've made in life that in somebody else's life or in their mindset, it may have been monumental and life-altering. And I started to calculate the amount of money that I've made off of mistakes. And I know that probably sounds like retarded or taboo, but let me tell you all something. I have realized that when you are willing to go forward and to try stuff and to be bold and to give it a shot, even sometimes nervous, not really having all the answers or even the intel, like, there you put yourself in a position where even your mistakes can get blessed. You know, I started going through my PayPal statements. I went through my PayPal statements last week, just kind of as a moment. It's like, you know what, let me just think back about, like, how my life is, what's going on, what I need to do. I probably should save more and stop shopping, but it's like, whatever, I'll deal with it later. And I started to see some things that I was looking at, and I realized, man, I wrote my first book by mistake. Didn't even mean to happen. I wrote my first book simply off of text message in my line, brother, because I was like, I fell in love with God, and I'm like, God, you're amazing. I want everybody in the world to know. Wrote a book. Didn't even realize I wrote a book. That first book sold quite a few copies, to the point where I was able to, like, do some things, provide for myself, go on some trips. Like, some crazy stuff started to happen on the heels of a mistake. Even when I think about people who make mistakes when it comes to, like, their lives or their having children, it's like we have shunned and made mistakes, quote unquote, this really terrible place and space to be in, when in all actuality, some of the biggest blessings and the best things for us happened by mistake. That's it, Chris. Monetize your mistake. Like, literally, like, some of the best things that ever happened to you happened on mistake, and it's not always bad. And so I was thinking about that, and so I came into Waffle House, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to completely change my mindset and perspective on what mistakes really are. And I realized this, like, for often, I know me personally, even though I'm doing okay right now, I remember I used to be really hard on myself because of the mistakes that I was making or the things that I was doing that I thought weren't profitable or going to take me anywhere that I wanted to be. And I realized that mistakes really are just lessons learned. And if you have the right perspective on a mistake, it really won't be as bad as you think it is. Like, I promise you, it's not that bad at all. Like, and not that I live a free-flowing life and I just do whatever I want to do, but I realized that mistakes really have made me. They've absolutely made me. They put me in some pretty good positions, all because I've made some mistakes, especially the mistakes that I've made, like on behalf of trying to be obedient to God, trying to move forward in purpose. Those are some of the best mistakes to make. That's actually really good. Those are actually some of the greatest mistakes you could ever make. Because like one thing I do know about God is that people have, kind of make God sometimes always just this totalitarian, this like a wholehearted, mean, I'm gonna handle you a certain type of way, and that's not always the case. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, you're good. You're good. You're good. Nope, I'm good. We kind of put God in this space as if he's just like this rough dude with us all the time, and not realize that God has like built in some grace for us to be able to make some mistakes, bounce back from them, and for our lives to kind of be forever changed. And just some of the thoughts I was having today. I was like, you know what? I'm so grateful for every mistake that I've ever made. Like I know a lot of people who live in regret. It's like they regret a lot of things they've done. And I'm like, you know what? When I really think back, I don't really have that many regrets. And I realized that also that I was looking at my mistakes as lessons long before you're really about to eat and give us absolutely, because I'm starving. I'm on this whole diet thing, and it's like I can't eat fried stuff. I need this. Chat and chew, I love it. But yeah, it's like making some mistakes could be the best thing you do for your life. And honestly, the best thing you could do, Tamarind is on our diet because there's nothing that's fried, it's all grilled. One of the best things you could do is be okay saying, you know what, for the rest of this year, I'm going to try, I'm going to push, I'm going to press, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to be okay with them. Matter of fact, I actually challenge you to do that. Tell yourself, I'm going to make mistakes, there's no way around it, but I'm going to choose to look at my mistakes as lessons, and it'll do everything that it's supposed to do. It'll transform you for a little while. So that's all I was thinking about it, and I'm kind of here by myself, and I didn't have anybody to talk to, so I figured I would talk to Instagram. So if you guys want to further chat about mistakes, DM me. I'm here for the next 25 minutes at least, and I have nobody to talk to, and you made a mistake by eating this Waffle House. Okay, I'm gonna jump off this because whoever this person is trolling is really gonna frustrate me. Well, if nothing else, hear that, guys. Like, I promise you, the best thing you can do is embrace the mistakes that you have to make for your life to be what you want it to be and what you need it to be. Because at the end of the day, nobody who is truly successful will be able to tell you they didn't make mistakes. But the thing about them, they'll be able to say, you know what, I was okay with making mistakes. I was okay with jumping in and going for it and figuring it out as I go. I was okay with like not knowing. And you know what? That's the best place for you to be, willing to make some mistakes. So I'm not sure what you guys have going on, what you're working on, but I strongly encourage you for the rest of this month, and especially into July, be okay with doing stuff, knowing you don't have all the answers, knowing you don't have any idea how it's always supposed to work out, but be okay with making a mistake. Because in the midst of you making a mistake, you can make $1 million. Ask me how I know. I have literally seen some of my business colleagues make millions off of like, you know what, I don't even think I meant to do that. I'm like, maybe one day I'll be that guy that's like, you know what, I didn't even mean to do that, but I'm so glad I did. So listen, I love y'all. My Waffle House is getting cold. Be okay making a few mistakes for the next 30 to 60 days. So I promise you, on the other side of that mistake is a lesson, is a new skill, is a new talent. It's something that you can say, you know what, I learned something tremendous, something that has no value or no monetary value in the moment. I promise you that mistake you can capitalize on, and it could be the thing that opens up the rest of your life for it to be what you want it to be. So, hey, that was it. Thanks for jumping on my TED Talk about mistakes. Embrace them, love them, enjoy them, learn from them, and go forward. I like that. Mistakes meant you at least tried. I know a lot of people who are so afraid of making a mistake that they don't even start. They don't even try. And then they'll like do things like be upset and frustrated about the quality of life not being what it could or should have been, but like, you never tried. I talked about that last night on my live. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to look at it, but if you didn't, go to my story, it's on there, or go to my YouTube channel. I talked about the fact that most people have commitment issues to themselves, that we specialize in self-neglect. that if you ever want to know somebody who's not really going to make it, look at the person who does nothing for themselves and they do something for everybody else. Like, you're never going to make it out here in this life trying to never doing for you, never putting yourself as a priority, never taking yourself serious. 'Cause that's really what at the end of the day, the root of it all is the fact that you don't take yourself serious enough to make an investment in yourself or to make a commitment to yourself. Because let me tell you something about commitment. Commitment will change everything. When you make commitments and you stick to them, everything is forced to change past those commitments. So it's like, you made a commitment right here, right? Everything from this point forward has to alternate, has to shift, has to go in a different direction because you made a commitment to you. And that's the area where a lot of people have to do that, make a commitment to you. Because if you don't make a commitment to you, how on earth can you expect somebody else to? You don't even love yourself enough to commit to you. You don't even love yourself enough to commit to your own dreams and to your own goals. Like, you don't even love yourself enough to take your own self serious. Why should I? Why should we? It's like, take that expectation off yourself. Or I'm sorry, scratch that. Put that expectation on you to take yourself more seriously. In the midst of you taking yourself seriously, I promise you, you'll walk right into some mistakes. But the best thing you can do is cry, learn the lesson, go forward. Because I promise you, mistakes will make you. Mistakes will actually make you. Leah, I'm talking to you here. Mistakes will make you, and they'll do the one thing that they're supposed to do. They'll open your eyes to see that, A, things are not that bad, and then secondly, you needed this. I can't tell you all how many mistakes that I've made that I needed. Like, I absolutely needed. I've had run-ins with clients. I have had deals gone bad. I've had stuff not to work. I needed the mistakes. I needed what the mistakes were going to teach me. That's a word within itself. We need what the mistakes are going to teach us, but we have to be willing to at least do our part, that first line, those first few steps, to make the mistakes. To say, you know what, I'm bold, I'm bad enough to get out here and try. Yeah, I'm gonna make this mistake. I'm gonna learn a little lesson from it. These niggas they got the thing blowing at the wild price. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry. But it's important that we just be okay, you know what, I gotta make a few mistakes. I've gotta make a few mistakes. I actually welcome the fact that I'm about to make some mistakes. I honestly, where I am in life, I look for mistakes around me. When I make a mistake, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me see what the lesson is in that. And honestly, because of where I am, like, future minded, I'm looking at, okay, you know what? How can I avoid this situation in the future, but make a little bit more money off of this mistake? So I promise you this, a lot of the webinars that people have signed up for concerning me, they're literally full of my mistakes. I wrote a whole book called How to Fail as an Entrepreneur because I literally failed. My first try at this, I failed miserably. And I said to myself, you know what? We read these books on how to teach people how to do stuff and do it right. But what if I just tell you how to do it wrong? If I give you the blueprint and say, you know what, this is how you royally screw yourself up, you have no choice but to say, you know what, don't do what the author of this book did, and you'll be okay. It took me 3 years. I wrote 3 years of mistakes in an ebook. You can get on my website, shameless plug. But it literally transformed. At the end of those 3 years, I was able to say, you know what, I know why my business isn't prospering the way it should be. I know that I need to change and direct. And most importantly, now I have the answers for somebody else's headache. I have the answers, I have the solution to the problems that somebody else is either having or about to have. But it all started with me, embracing the mistakes that I was making, realizing that, you know what, these mistakes are not just making me, but they're making me better. They're making me smarter. They're making me wiser. They're making me more money. Because this is the thing about it. If you really want to change the world and build something that's going to last, you got to be clear on the fact that you got to be a solution. If you're not a solution, you're only going to be, it's people who are solutions, they don't cap out. The reach is endless. The extent is endless when you are a solution. But when you're somebody that's going around in a cycle or going around on a boat, I promise you're going to run out. You're going to tap out real soon. But when your focus is, you know what question can I answer? What problem can I solve for my group of people, for my sphere of influence, for my lane of business? What problem can I solve? People who make millions of dollars are not always the smartest. They're those that say, you know what? Let me answer a question. Let me fix something. Let me provide a solution to something that somebody else has. And it's all because they said, you know what, I've been willing and I'm open enough to embrace the mistakes that I've made, learn from them, jot some notes, reroute myself, and then boom. Now I've stumbled into something great. Now I've stumbled into another level of money. Now I've stumbled into another level of clarity and understanding. Now I've stumbled into another level of purpose, and my life quality is enhanced. But it all came from me saying, you know what? I made a mistake here. And instead of me being upset and wallowing in my mistake, I chose to say, yeah, you know what? Let me learn from this. Let me see what the real lesson is on the inside of this. Let me see how many lessons are actually inside of this mistake. Because I'm telling you this, our lessons, our mistakes are layered. You're looking for answers for one thing. If you really analyze your mistakes, you'll realize it's like 5 or 6 things that contributed to you making the mistake you did before you actually did it. But so do you hear that? That's like, in that moment, you have the answer to 5 or 6 problems, and you only were looking to answer one thing because you made one mistake. And it's kind of like, wow, I had no idea that my mistakes were layered in such a way that there are now solutions that are almost endless because I chose to be mature about the fact that, hey, I made a mistake. Great, boom, I'm glad I did it. Let me look at this. And now I'm looking at this, and it's like, you know what? Answer. And now you're a solution to somebody's problem. All because you said you chose to embrace the mistakes that you were going to make anyway. Because that's a whole nother tangent, but that for sure is it. You're going to make mistakes anyway. There's absolutely nothing in life that goes perfect. It's not supposed to. It's really not supposed to. And you're a fool if you think that it is. But I promise you this, if you allow yourself to say, you know what? These mistakes are not going to ruin me, but they're going to make me, and to make me better, and to make me great, and to make me the person that I know in my mind and that in my heart that I'm supposed to be. Mistakes are your doorway to your next mistakes are the doorways to your next level. Mistakes are the doorway to your next increase. Because a lot of us, if we looked at where we were having some consistent issues and kind of dealt with that thing, we would realize that, okay, you know what, if a little corrective behavior here, a little corrective behavior there absolutely changes the fact that what we do going forward and what we produce as we press on. But we got to be willing to say, you know what, yeah, yikes, mistake. Glad I made it. And listen, and you're going to make them anyway. So you might as well break them, embrace them, welcome them, allow them to happen. Because as I just got the answer to revelation, mistakes are the doorway to your next level or to your next increase. So for somebody who's watching this or watching the replay or watching this on my YouTube channel saying, you know what, my fear of mistakes is the reason I'm not getting to the next place called there or to where I know I'm supposed to be next. Be willing to make a mistake. It's okay if things aren't perfect. I tell my business clients all the time, just start. It does not have to be perfect. Whoever has locked into your mind that things have to be like literally perfect every time, they're lying to you. They're absolutely lying to you. And it's not perfect every time when they do it. It doesn't have to be. Like people who suffer from like absolute like perfectionism, I'm like, you got to break that because there is absolutely perfectionism at the wrong time is a major hindrance. Majority of my coaching clients are people who come to me saying, you know what, I wanted to start 5 years ago. I wanted to start 10 years ago, but I just didn't. Well, why? Because they couldn't be perfect. It's okay. It's okay. I promise you, it's okay if it's not perfect, especially in the beginning. Especially in the beginning. If you want to get into branding and marketing, it's perfect for you to launch into something and not to be perfect because people love a good story. If you take people on a journey with you, you'll have a forever client. If you take people on a journey with you, you'll have somebody that's invested into you and your brand. They like watch you develop. You guys will be surprised at how many people have been a part of my journey and have watched my journey over the last 10 years. Before I walked into Waffle House, I was voice noting one of my friends from college, and she was like, man, to hear your name called today on the Facebook Live, and she's like, I remember when. I never would have thought that you would be doing this. And I'm like, me either. But it took a whole lot of mistakes to get me to this point now where I am. And I'm like, thank you to every mistake. So listen, before y'all go to bed, take a moment and start to say thank you for the mistakes you've made. Thank you for the mistakes you're going to make. And I'll say, you know what, mistakes come my way so I can learn the lessons that I need to learn and go forward and to be who I'm supposed to be and to do what I'm supposed to do and to impact who you're supposed to impact. Because I promise you this, If you don't make mistakes, you won't be able to connect with your target audience organically. People are like looking for their audience. You find your audience inside of your mistakes, because your audience is you. Like when I do with what I'm doing with Coach Ed, I am speaking to who I needed when I didn't have Coach Ed. There are people who are in the places that I used to be, who are going to excel way past me, but all I had to do was start to speak to them where they are. How do I get the knowledge for that? How do I get the logic for that and the perspective for that? It's to simply go back to where I was and give what I needed then. I needed this. I needed somebody to tell me that, you know what, man, use your talents, every last one of them. Don't put anything on the shelf. I need somebody to tell me that, you know what, sometimes you'll be good at certain things for a season, for you to learn skills that you're going to pick up and utilize 5 or 6 years down the line. I worked in higher ed. I never thought that it was me being in higher ed and learning how to navigate with transitioning adults would be something I would pick back up. My courses are filled with adults in transition. They're trying to transition from one mindset, from one place, from one tax bracket, from one ideology to the next. So I know how to speak to the person that's in transition, because I know what that's like. I dealt with it for 4 years. I had an executive pastor role at a church. I know what it's like to deal with people who are in traumatic situations, who are really kind of lost in the sauce, trying to find their way. So what I'm doing now with my business as Coach Ev and Vision Birthers is really what I've been doing my entire life, in different ways and different facets. And honestly, every step of the way, every mistake that I've made, I've been able to correct and apply to be able to transform something for not just me, but for somebody else. All because I said, you know what? I'm glad I made these mistakes. And in addition to that, I have a webinar tomorrow night called Help. I push everyone except myself, because that used to be me. I was the one that said, you know what? I'm gonna make sure everybody else's dreams come true. And then I looked up one day and I was like, man, everybody I've touched, supported, helped out, sold into is doing it, and my life is subpar. My life is lackluster. I'm stressed. I'm broke. I am not living out the life that I know that I should be, but it's because I put all of my energy and my efforts and my talents into building everybody else, and I never said, you know what, Evan, I care about me enough to say, let me put some energy into me. Let me put some focus into me. And when I started to put some energy and some focus into me, y'all, my life changed. I love my life. I love my job. I have the flexibility that I never thought that I could. I grew up in a household, my parents told me this is the dream. Go, get a good job, work 9 to 5, and then boom, your life is easy. I did that, realized I hated it, that it wasn't for me, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I took dead-end jobs that were gonna get me nowhere, that I absolutely hated, but I needed every step of I needed every mistake that I made to be able to get me to the point where, like, you know what? Thank you, because all this stuff started to work. When I sat down and put my life on the whiteboard, I realized that, I got gifts that I picked up from this. I got talents. I learned how to use Excel and Microsoft. I learned how to perfect Microsoft Excel working for NASA when I graduated from college. I learned how to articulate and to communicate and how to sell things to people by working in the Verizon cell phone store. I learned how to really deal with the hearts and minds of people working at a church, volunteering at a church. I didn't realize that I learned how to build websites and do things graphically or design-wise by taking a job at Lexus. I learned how to actually make cold calls and have random conversations with strangers by being an internet sales lead or team member at Nissan. Stuff that paid me no money then, that literally had me what is going on with my life, actually ended up being the thing that have made me everything that I am right now. I can pick up the phone and call somebody and have a conversation with them, and before they get off the phone, they're saying, you know what you got, what do you have, what else do you have for me? And I'm like, hey, I can go into places and I can start a conversation with a total stranger, and I know when I walk out and get in my car and head home, I have made an impact. I have been able to be a blessing to them in some sort of way, whether it's encouragement, whether it's wisdom, whether it's I promise you can do it. I love that. You know what? Everybody, make a list of what these jobs that you thought were dead ends have taught you. They've taught you so much. They taught you so much. And when you start to realize what they taught you and start to loop that stuff together, you look up and it's you know what? I had all these ingredients on the table and didn't realize how any of this stuff was going to go together. And then when you start to put all that stuff in the pot, you realize, oh, I got some bomb seafood gumbo. But all I saw was peppers, onions, shrimp, what else? Crawfish, crab. All this stuff was mixed apart and set up separately, and it didn't look good. I didn't understand how it was going to go together. But when I took a moment to really sit down and to connect the dots and make those lists and get an understanding of my life and what has happened to me and for me, I realized that, oh no, I've got the recipe for success. I've got the recipe for me to have a happy life. I've got the recipe for me to make double the amount of money testimony. When I really started to put the efforts into myself and start to capitalize and connect the dots on the different things that I've learned in life, y'all know when I put that stuff into motion, I made an extra $15,000 flat out in 1 year. Now that may not mean like a much to you, but to me, giving half effort, because I was like a part-time entrepreneur. I had a full-time job, then I had a part-time job at a university, and then I did my business on the side. So I had like 3 layers of different things to do. And I made $15,000 my first year off of my part-time. Like, this is not a game, guys. When you really connect your dots and see what's all on the inside of you and start to put that stuff together, you put yourself in the realm of what was once impossible to become possible. Think about it. I'm 27 years old, got a good full-time job, got a good part-time job, and then my business, when I started to connect the dots and understand why on earth I'm here and started to move forward in that, I made $15K in a year. And it wasn't hard. It was actually extremely enjoyable. But it's because all this started with me being willing to make some mistakes, go to some places, connect some dots, get some understandings, and really put this stuff together, and then boom. 4.5 years later, not even really 4.5 years later, 2.5 years later, to be honest, I work for myself. I legitimately work for myself. I have the flexibility to do what I want to do because I realized that corporate America just was not going to work for me. I had a great job at NASA fresh out of school, like actual NASA, like Hidden Figures NASA. And it's like great money, but I realized that this wasn't going to be it for me. For some people, that is it for them. They love it. But for me, that wasn't going to be it. How do you find out why you're here? So first off, you have to acknowledge the fact that you're here for a reason. You know that you're here for a reason. And often you can start to look inside of you, like look at what you do naturally to be able to identify some things that could potentially be purpose for you. Like things that you love and do naturally, that you're passionate about. Often I ask people this question: if you could do something for free for the rest of your life and then didn't have to worry about bills, cars, food, what would it be? Often that's one of the biggest indicators of purpose, because if it's kids, it may be not you're just a serial mother, but you may be somebody purposed and called to have a daycare. People don't realize that daycares are extremely profitable. You know why? Because childcare is expensive. I also don't realize that there are government grants given to daycares all the time. Little things like that. So just kind of ask yourself and identify and look in and say, you know, what am I doing here? What am I good at? What am I naturally passionate about? And what would I do for free if everything else in my life was taken care of? Often that's a place, that is the stirring of a sense of purpose, or a place where purpose can be found or where it resides. So I just jumped in here to talk about that until my food came. Now my food's come and we talked for a little while. So listen, I appreciate you all. I mentioned a book on here earlier that I had, How to Fail as an Entrepreneur. Sometimes you got to make mistakes to figure it out. So welcome your mistakes. What's up, Sam? Welcome your mistakes. Make them all. Enjoy them. Embrace them. Learn from them. And put those things to work for you. And again, if you're going to be with me tomorrow night for help, I push everyone except myself, because some of us literally are like super supporters. Like we support the stew out of everybody else. We don't do anything for ourselves. Shame on you. Shame on you. And most of the individuals that I've encountered or I've walked with through, we're working through how to do for you and do for them. Once you start to realize you have self-neglected for so long, you start to realize a lot of the things in life that you're unhappy about were all on you. You could have changed. You could have shifted. You could have made some minor adjustments and it could have changed your entire life for forever. But you had to be safe. But a wise person would say after watching this broadcast, you know what? I made a mistake. Let me see what I can do. Let me start to take the journey inside to figure out what I love, what I want to do. And if you're one of those who actually already knows that and you haven't moved forward, shame on you too. because you're missing out on money. You're missing out on a happy or an enhanced quality of life because you simply just won't move. You just won't. And I know what it's like because I've been there. I've been there, but I won't go back there again, and I refuse to go back there again. So listen, jump in with me tomorrow night. Help, I push everyone except myself. Tomorrow night from 7 to 8:30. Help, I push everyone except myself. Go to my website, www.coachev.com, or just hit my Instagram page and hit link in my bio. If you can't be with us live, it's okay. You'll get the replay link at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, so you'll be able to watch it on Friday while you're at work or Saturday while you're chilling. But I promise you, I'm encouraging you to be a part of this because I'm not teaching you what I haven't learned off of, it is Eastern time. I'm not teaching you what I have not mastered and learned through the mistakes that I've made. Things that I have now been able to identify and can spot and can coach somebody out and through, all because I was there, remembered being there, was okay with where I was then when I was there, learned the lessons that I needed to learn about that place, and put those things to work and change my life for forever. So listen, I'm going to put my website. You can go to coachev.com or just hit the link in my Instagram bio. It's right there. It'll take you right there too. And this is the thing about it, guys. It's only $27. It's literally just $27. So before you buy your bottle of Hennessy for Friday night or your bottle of Don Julio, invest in yourself. Say, you know what? I realize there are some things that I could do better, that I need to do better, and I want to do them better. And what's going to make me do them better is by me making commitments to me saying, you know what? Let me embrace my mistakes. Let me make my list, figure out what I've learned along the way, and then boom, let's do it. So again, hit the link in my bio. I look forward to having you guys there. And also, if you watch it tomorrow live with us, you'll get the replay link. Sam, you probably need to register because Sam, I'm pretty sure you push everyone except yourself. But I didn't want to call your name, but I know you said 5 right there. So that was it. So listen, guys, I love you all. I'm about to eat my Waffle House and go home and go to bed because I'm tired. But I love you all. I pray this really helped you. It charged you and it pushed you. And I hope to see you tomorrow. If it blessed you, DM me. Shoot, let me know how it helped you, and I'll be talking to you guys and seeing you guys soon. Hey, Kristen, hey, all right, have a good night, guys.